The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University. Hello and welcome to this week's Art Beat on KLZK 105.7 FM. I'm your host, Peter Martens. Glad to be with you today, coming to you from the campus of Texas Tech University and the Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts. And I am pleased today to be talking to Stuart Anderson. Hello.
Hello.
And I've got to know originally, I guess, Stuart as a bass player, like the orchestral upright double bass. And if any of you in the audience have been to the Lubbock Symphony, you may have seen him playing in the bass section and may have noticed that there was one bass player who was actually taller than his bass. And that is Stuart Anderson, who we're talking to today. We'll talk a little bit, I'm sure, about bass playing, but we're actually going to talk to you about your current role on campus in the School of Music, which is more kind of on the production back-end side. And I'm going to let you go ahead and tell us your position because it has a lot of words.
Sure. So the position is technically titled Media Production Studio Manager and Audio Engineer. But it involves, everything from recording recitals, editing videos, to wiring cables through the catwalk for video production, setting up audio video networks, and then traveling to various venues that might be outside of the School of Music to record there, and managing all the equipment in the studio as well.
So you're not busy at all, is what you're saying, right?
Right.
So let's start with, people think of the School of Music, they think of Hemley Recital Hall, which is where I'd say the bulk of School of Music, either ensembles or student productions, are done. How many, in a typical academic year, how many events, sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot, how many events take place in Hemley Recital Hall, like I guess public performances?
I want to say roughly 200.
Okay, that sounds about right to me.
Yeah, and I used to help create the recital programs, and I know some semesters wwere much
So
busier.
the
we
physical
had even more
programs.
than 200. Yes, the
Okay.
physical recital programs.
Okay.
Yes.
So each of those, whether it's the symphonic band or the wind ensemble or the orchestra or the choir, whatever, or if it's so and so's junior recital, all of these events are recorded. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we record all student recitals and then all guest recitals. Master classes are if it's requested, we do record those as well. But basically every degree recital, every student recital is going to be recorded.
Wow. So that's obviously a challenge of just, personnel, having people to record all of these many things. It's sometimes multiple per day, right? Especially in the spring semester. How do you deal with the information? How do you deal with the whatever gigabytes, terabytes of audio that you're that are just streaming into the studio?
Yeah, that's a great point to bring up. We've actually hit the capacity, at least on our streaming service. We stream on Vimeo.
Okay.
And we've actually capped out on our Vimeo storage, so we'll need to upgrade that pretty soon. But that's a good point. Dealing with all the data, especially some performances we do. Well, we have 3 robotic cameras in Hemley, and if we're recording in 4K, that can be quite a large file. So thankfully, we mainly use Dropbox as our place where we store and manage our archives. So we capture, and if I'm going over kind of our general capture process, we capture to OBS, the streaming service, the open source broadcasting service.
Okay.
And
so the microphones and cameras go into that initially, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes, that's mainly what we stream through. So we also record a capture of that at the same time. But in addition to that, we also record to SD cards to physical media, which is going to be probably more reliable. And then if we're manually recording something not over network, we always record to either CF Express cards or SD cards that can handle more data. And then we then upload those to our media control room. We have a few computers in there.
With giant hard drives, I'm guessing, yes?
Yes, they have quite large, actually not large enough now, but
large but not large enough.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and just the other day, I recorded, I think, a terabyte's worth of both audio and video data. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's whenever we can, we try to, because we want to up the production quality as much as possible, but at the same time, sometimes it's not necessary. For example, if someone's standing relatively still and playing their instrument, you don't need the highest frame rate necessarily, because that can add quite a bit of data as well.
Right. So, and just to be clear with the audience, that you're talking about all of these recordings, I think of the recording studio for a school of music or whatever. I mean, you're getting just an audio recording, right? Like I've got a cassette tape of my, recitals or final concerts or something like that. But you're talking about, in some cases, very, very high definition video as well as the audio for all of these things. That's par for the course at this point. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, for most of our recitals in Hemley, we capture with condenser microphones that are installed in the hall. And then we also have backup microphone, in case for whatever reason, if things were to fail. That's another interesting thing that you always have to have a backup of some sort.
Sure.
Thankfully, our gear is very reliable. We do record with condenser microphones for the majority of recitals to capture more detail.
Okay. So the quality obviously is very high in what you do, and I'm sure students and folks appreciate that. I know students use these recordings to maybe send out for their next degree program or for jobs or auditions. That's so important now to have those sorts of recordings. So that's a real service, I think, to the students who are going into the musical fields to use. So as we were saying, Hemley Recital Hall is kind of the focus of a lot of this activity, but I think from the master control room in the School of Music, you can also record other rooms. Is that correct?
That's right. At the moment, the only direct connection we have is to the choir hall, in which quite a few recitals and events go on in there. We can very easily, we have multiple robotic cameras that we can kind of install and access over the university network,
Okay.
no matter what room we put it in. So that makes for a nice, convenient video solution. However, it's not to the production quality level of just taking a camcorder down there manually and using our, one of our Sony cameras and recording it that way, because
Okay.
you're going to get closer. Because, oftentimes with the robotic cameras, you have to mount them up high. And so they're going to naturally be further away, and you get less detail. You have to zoom in more. But when you set up a camcorder, which is often what we do, we usually, for example, even though in choir hall we have those remote controlled cameras,
Right.
we also set up a physical camcorder as well. And many times we use that footage just because it's higher detail.
Interesting. Right. You there's a trade-off between convenience, like kind of plug and play with a camera that you can just plug into the wall, right? The Ethernet that's in the room versus better quality. That's
Right.
interesting. We I think those of us who are not in this field, we see those, little robotic cameras that are turning around. We think those are like the most amazing things, but it sounds like they're not in terms of the quality, the highest end.
Yes, well, they're still HD. They're not 4K capable. So, and we don't have to record everything in 4K. A lot of times we, either downscale to 1920 by 1080, and for streaming purposes, there's less stream delay and things like that. If we just choose an acceptable quality, still
Sure.
HD, but that way people can tune in closer to real time. So
Right. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you're talking about the difference between like really, really good and really, really, really good.
yes, yeah, it's the PTZ cameras is what they're called, pan, tilt, zoom.
Okay.
And those are very convenient. Our newest our Hemley installation cameras, those are capable of 4K and have quite expensive lenses on them. But whereas the other cameras that we use sort of as backups they're HD, but you can certainly get more detail with our new Sony camera. So that's why.
Okay.
And I also like to have a backup. So for most events, we have two audio sources, two video sources,
Right.
just on the off chance that something, so it happens very occasionally, but sometimes I've done it myself. But if someone forgets to hit record on the backup, but they got the main one going, or they do vice versa, either way, I think it's good to have two sources.
Sure. Redundancy is always good. Right. So you talked a little bit about, you mentioned catwalk early on, and
Yes.
you're not just sitting in a room all the time pushing buttons and sliding things up and down. I kind of envision the School of Music building as, there's the recording control room kind of up on the second floor on one side, but it's kind of like a brain, and it's got all of these nerves and whatever flowing, in these unseen spaces under the floors and in the walls and such to these other rooms. What's it like trying to connect one room up on the second floor with, a big recital hall that's not right next door. I guess it's not that far away, but it's not right next door.
Yes, yeah, that process was one that was very interesting, and I mean, it starts to become sort of fun. Like, you have a plan in mind, and you understand, because when I first got here, I wasn't understanding exactly what we were doing up on the catwalk, and it's like, well, we're upgrading the network. And then and yeah, we ended up feeding like couple 200-foot category 8 network cables through a little pipe, and one person has to be on one side pulling, and then the other person is feeding it through basically a conduit on the catwalk that's above the whole recital hall. And yeah, it's a little bit cramped up there, but
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was an interesting. I mean, I'll be going back up there, very soon to. We have more upgrades in mind. We're hoping to eventually upgrade to a fiber optic network, because that will actually take up less space, and we only have so much room. There's kind of a metal pipe, metal conduit that there's only one of them that we know that runs to Hemley, and so we've got to fit all our network cables, all our audio cables into that pipe.
Wow. Yeah. And you use the phrase "that we know of," which also kind of speaks to, these buildings. I mean, this isn't that old of a building, but there are things that you come in and like, gosh, does this, does point A connect with point B over here? And a lot of experimentation, I imagine. And,
yes.
And so now that you're over your fear of heights, possibly, and understand the system more, you're jumping right into to make those upgrades. Interesting. Where do you go? You mentioned recording off campus, but at least outside of the School of Music. And I think you've got your small kind of wagon train of literally wagons, right, to get the equipment wherever it needs to go. Where do you typically have to record, if not in the School of Music building?
Typically, a lot of voice recitals, they like the acoustics of certain churches. So like St. John's. Oh gosh, I can't remember. There's so many nearby churches, but
Right.
Any of the ones immediately around campus, those are pretty common. So it's a very short drive. It's just a matter of just getting the equipment there safely.
Mm-hmm.
We had some things at Lehuka Firehouse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we had to take quite a bit of equipment there for 15 singers. So we had to bring the mixing board and all the cables, and then our cameras and multiple methods of recording. So it's quite a lot of equipment. So it's like you've got your installation, for Hemley, and Hemley's kind of the easiest one,
Right.
Since we have so much installed there. But yeah, it would be ideal, if you could just sit there and press a button. But yeah, most of the time, I mean, you need to make sure, you need to gain stage properly. You need to make sure that the audio is coming through with the highest quality possible. Make sure it's not going to be distorted. Make sure it's not too quiet where, someone's going to have to crank up their volume. It's going to be noisy. Optimizing that signal to noise ratio is part of the process as well. So there's the equipment, there's the setup of it. So yeah, definitely a little more involved, especially for those off-campus recitals.
Right. Enhanced Chapel, I think you record in quite often as well. Right?
Enhanced Chapel, that's right.
Okay. And I'll end, since we're almost out of time here, and with having seen you just this past weekend at a wedding of two tech students who have actually recently graduated, and you had an impressive array of equipment there that was capturing the video of the festivities, but then also at the reception there was a jazz trio, and you had something really fancy sitting in front of them. So this is, I think this is going to be the highest production value wedding video that I can ever imagine. Definitely compared to the the old VHS shaky, grainy sort of tape. So it's amazing what you can have even at a consumer level these days with the right equipment and knowing the right people like yourself, Stuart Anderson. So I want to thank Stuart for being here with us today on the Art Beat. Thanks for sharing your inside view of the recording edifice and infrastructure that exists to serve all of the students and faculty and guests at the School of Music.
Of course, yes. I'm very happy to do this job, and yeah, I know it's very important for all the students to have a solid recording that they can use for job applications and as a learning experience as well. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to help out the students and staff of the School of Music.
Yes, and I guess you probably don't provide the service of taking out the wrong notes, do you?
Occasionally, but usually not.
Okay. Well, thank you, Stuart Anderson. Good to talk to you. We'll see you around.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye. The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University.